Microsoft just provided reassurance to Xbox biggest fans. Let's talk about exclusives. What's up everybody, Brad here back again, and it's been a busy week of gaming. If you haven't caught all the Gamescom news, there's been a bunch of good stuff coming out of that conference. We've got everything across the board, from games, from accessories, to future events in the world of Microsoft. If you haven't checked that out, follow the videos on the channel and you can learn a lot more and stay up to date. But there's been this cloud, if you will, hanging over the Microsoft world for a while, and people might say, oh, it's gotta be first party games and it's gotta be single player games, because Microsoft never ever does that, ever. And while Phil Spencer has clearly outlined in previous comments saying, hey, Microsoft is working on single player focused exclusives for the Xbox family with the Xbox Game Studio, that is not what we are here to talk about today. We're here to talk about that other cloud that is hanging over, and we're not talking about xCloud either. We're talking about that third cloud, now that I think about it, hanging over people's heads. And it's been the idea that Xbox exclusives aren't really exclusives to the Xbox. If you think about it, Microsoft has been doing some interesting things. First off, Microsoft bought a small little company that makes a game that you might have heard called Minecraft, right? And Minecraft, when that title was acquired from Mojang, or Notch, or whoever you want to say they bought it from, there was concern that it would be an Xbox-only game. Right? That was a legitimate concern, because that was the strategy at the time. But as we have seen since that acquisition, Microsoft is still supporting it on Xbox. It's on the PC. It's on everything. And heck, their AR version, Minecraft Earth, is coming to mobile devices. And so Minecraft, which is a Microsoft property and exclusive, if you will, is not only on the Xbox hardware. Then you have other things like Cuphead, right? Cuphead was this. If you're not familiar with Cuphead, you should definitely go check it out. It's a neat little side-scrolling, like 60s art style. It's a really neat looking game, but it was on the Xbox, and then all of a sudden, hey, wait a minute, it's on PC. Okay, what? It's on the Switch. It's on the Switch. That was a Microsoft thing. And then there were some other games. The Blind Forest series or title has made its way over to the Switch, and people are starting to wonder, like, what? Okay, does this mean that, like, Halo, could Gears, what? At what limit does Microsoft stop and say, hey, we're not going to put our titles on the other platforms? And so Microsoft is just nulling that off. They have put out a statement that says, this past year has been an exciting time for us, as we have more than doubled the internal creative teams making up the Xbox studios, the company stated. As these new studios transitioned in, we were aware of some of the existing commitments to other platforms, and we will honor them. However, going forward, these new studios will focus on making games for our platforms. We have no plans, let me repeat, we have no plans to further expand our exclusive first-party games to other consoles. I'm going to read that again. We have no plans to further expand our exclusive first-party games to other consoles. We continue to believe deeply in crossplay and progression of games with the right flexibility and developers to ensure a fair and fun experience. So there you go. Microsoft is coming out very bluntly and saying they have no plans to bring those titles to other platforms, and that they were honoring previous commitments, which, good on Microsoft. They're not breaking those contracts and getting sued, which is never a good thing. They're holding firm to those commitments. But there are some things you need to be aware of, because they do leave wiggle room in that statement. First of all, we know games like Minecraft are going to be everywhere. Microsoft will be crazy not to do that. Second, xCloud. xCloud opens up a whole other can of worms. Now, granted, if you're playing with xCloud, Microsoft has already won. But with that statement, they do leave that room. It's like, in theory, you could then play xCloud games on another console. So you could get Halo on, theoretically, a PlayStation or a Switch if it has a web browser. Keep that in mind. So that is some wiggle rooms. And it also does not mention anything about timed exclusives, right? We know, like in the Call of Duty series, we see this on the Sony side, where they gave the publishers a whole bunch of money, and then they get new maps and other stuff first, and then it trickles to other consoles or other platforms. Now, Microsoft is not ruling out that is not a possibility, but what they're specifically saying here is that their first-party games, Microsoft's first-party games, are on the Xbox and Windows 10 PC. More than likely what they really are saying is, hey, if it's a Microsoft-owned property or operating system, it's going to be available to there, which I think everybody has kind of just normalized at this point that is the way forward. So if you've been worried about Microsoft exclusives and all that stuff, you shouldn't worry anymore. Although at the same time, more games sold is just better for Microsoft. But I think everybody understands that they need exclusive titles to actually get you to buy an Xbox console or Game Pass or Xbox Live Gold, which is what they want. Now, another interesting factoid that is in that statement that not everybody's pulled out, and we've known this like at a high level, but it's good to hear Microsoft say this. It says, the past years have been an exciting time for us. We have more than doubled the internal creative teams making up the Xbox Game Studios. So it's clear as day, right? They've doubled the amount of people working on things. Now, doesn't necessarily mean they're all working on individual games, but we know that putting more people on more games gives them more bandwidth to create better quality games. And so it's pretty clear that Microsoft is going all in on this Xbox experience, and they understand that studios are the way to do that, and they've been spending the big money. I can't stress enough that Microsoft's shift in the way that they have thought about Xbox is no longer a console. It's an experience, a gaming experience, that integrated network of experiences, including like Xbox Live, Game Pass, any screen, any device, that sort of thing is Microsoft's new marching orders. And that is how Phil has been able to get into the checkbook of Microsoft to be able to buy those studios, because it's just like any other suite of software as a service, as Microsoft loves to offer, to get people to spend the money and stay inside that ecosystem. Because I'll say this time and time again until people fully understand it. Microsoft doesn't want to be in the business of selling hardware. They want to be in the business of selling Xbox Game Pass, Xbox Live Gold, digital games, and the like, because that is where that's Microsoft's strength at the end of the day. That is what they're good at. I will argue for a very long time, despite the fact that just crashed back there, that Microsoft was very, very good at building software and integrated services. That is what Microsoft is good at doing. So, just a little information for those people there. Yesterday too, I mentioned that I pre-ordered Stadia, and I did this, I think, a little while ago, and got some really weird, odd reactions that I'm leaving. I'm picking up my Xbox and I'm going home. No, absolutely not. Would it surprise you if I told you that I had PlayStation hardware in the house? Like, you have to know what you don't like to find what you like sometimes. And that's how I know I don't like the PlayStation controller, is because I have a PlayStation controller and I don't like using it. I get really tied up in controllers just because this is your physical connection to the game. This is it. On a PC, it's typically keyboard and mouse, right? You buy one that suits your flavor. On the Xbox or console side, you get a controller. That is your physical manifestation of a connection to the gaming world. And if it sucks or it's not the best in class, then it's a bad experience. And so I don't quite know what game I'm going to play on Stadia. I've been tempted by the Destiny, but I'm probably going to get Shadowkeep, or is it Shadowkeeper? If you don't know, I'm terrible with names. On the Xbox, because that's where all my friends are, and that's where we typically do the raids and all that good stuff. And I'm waiting for that to come out. It's also where I play a hell of a lot of Apex Legends. So I will find a game on Stadia that is hopefully available on both platforms. Maybe Cyberpunk. Maybe Cyberpunk's the one. And try it, because I really want to see the latencies of of Google Service and xCloud. And there's two versions of the xCloud latency that I want to test. It's the obviously Stadia vanilla, because it's going to be all the same Stadia. But remember, we have our own personal version of xCloud coming with the consoles. Remember, they're going to allow game streaming outside your home network. And so that is going to be one iteration. And then traditional is such a terrible word. Typical whatever xCloud scenarios are also going to be pretty high up there. And so I need Stadia to make that happen, and I don't want to use it's just nice, whatever. It's $129 for a Chromecast Ultra, which is a nice piece of streaming hardware if you do not have one. For the controller, which I'm going to do many deep dives against the industry standard, and I consider this to be the benchmark. This is the Xbox One. I don't think this was the Elite controller that came with the Elite. Maybe it was. Whatever. The standard Xbox One controller now that is out. That is, to me, the industry benchmark. And so I'm going to be doing all that stuff. That is future stuff. Anyways, folks, that is really just kind of what I wanted to get off the chest and into your pockets, if you will, because we've been hearing a lot of confusion and sleepless nights, if you will, around the Xbox exclusives going to other platforms. But you should fret not. It looks like Microsoft is getting their strategy in shape. They've got the manpower to do it internally. They are firing on most of their cylinders. I won't quite say all cylinders until we get xCloud out and running and see how that is. But they're complete shift under Phil Spencer. And so there you go, folks. That wraps it up for this time. Hit that subscribe button and we'll catch all of you right back here next time.